I wasn't asleep. That's the part people assume, but I was already awake when the knock came. 3:03 a.m. I remember the time because I checked it twice, like my brain needed proof that this was really happening. No one knocks on a door at 3:03 in the morning unless something is wrong, or unless they've already decided not to care what it looks like. I stayed still at first, held my breath, listened. Then it came again. Slower this time. Deliberate. I knew it was him before I even looked through the peephole. My neighbor. Newly divorced. Recently quiet. The kind of quiet that settles in after something breaks and never quite gets fixed. We weren't close. Friendly, sure, but not this kind of familiar. When I opened the door, he didn't say my name. He just stood there. Eyes tired. Jacket half-zipped. Like he'd been walking for a while. Or thinking too long. "I'm sorry," he said finally. Not sorry for waking me up. Sorry like he'd already crossed a line and knew it. That should have been the moment I closed the door. But I didn't. I stepped back instead. And that's when I noticed his hands. They were shaking. Not wildly. Just enough to tell me he was holding something in. He looked past me, into my apartment, like he was checking for exits, or witnesses, or maybe courage. "I didn't know where else to go," he said, and for a second, I believed him. I still didn't understand why it had to be me. Why 3:03 a.m.? Why tonight? I hadn't asked a single question yet, and already I could feel it. That pressure in the room. The kind that builds when two people know they're about to say something that can't be taken back. He stepped inside without asking. Not forcefully, just naturally. Like it made sense. The door closed behind him, and the sound of the latch clicking felt louder than it should have. He finally looked at me then. Really looked. And said something that made my stomach tighten. "I've been listening to you through the wall for months." I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because I didn't know what else to do. "That came out wrong," he said quickly. "I just mean, I know what you meant." I cut in. And I did. I just hadn't expected him to admit it. We stood there, a few feet apart, the silence stretching longer than was comfortable. Then he did something I wasn't ready for at all. He sat down. Not on the couch, on the edge of the chair by the window, like he didn't trust himself to get too comfortable. Like comfort might give him permission. He rubbed his hands together slowly, then pressed them flat against his knees, grounding himself. "I'm not here to make things weird," he said. That was the first lie. His voice sounded different inside my apartment. Quieter. Stripped down. The walls caught every pause, every breath he didn't finish. I needed to tell someone the truth. I leaned against the counter, keeping the distance between us intact. I told myself it was because I was being cautious, but really, it was because I was listening. "The night the divorce was finalized," he continued, "I didn't feel relieved. I didn't feel angry either." He looked up at me then. "I felt empty." He swallowed. And emptiness is dangerous. I should have stopped him right there. Should have said this was too much, too late, too inappropriate. Instead, I nodded. So he kept going. "I started noticing things I'd ignored before," he said. "Sounds. Movements. You." There it was. He said it gently. Not accusing. Not hungry. Almost embarrassed. "I heard you laughing one night," he said. "Through the wall. It was stupid. Just a laugh, but it felt alive. My throat tightened. I realized I hadn't heard that sound in my own house in years. The room felt smaller now, like the air had thickened. He stood up slowly. Not toward me, just up. I'm not asking for anything, he said quickly. I swear. I just needed you to know that tonight, this knock, this wasn't random. He took a step closer, still not close enough to touch. But I also didn't expect this, he added. The way you're looking at me. I hadn't realized I was. And that's when he did it. He reached into his jacket and pulled something out. Something small. Something I wasn't prepared to see at 3:03 in the morning. It wasn't what I expected. Not flowers, not a phone, not anything dramatic. It was a folded piece of paper, worn at the edges, creased like it had been opened and closed too many times. He held it between us for a second, hesitating, like once I saw it there would be no pretending this was just a late-night conversation. I wrote this the night everything ended, he said, after she left. I didn't take it yet. My eyes stayed on his face. Why show me? I asked. Because you're in it, he said quietly. That landed harder than anything else he'd said so far. I felt my pulse shift, slow, deliberate. The kind of awareness that spreads before your mind catches up. I didn't use your name, he added quickly. I didn't know it back then. But you'll know. I reached out and took the paper. Our fingers brushed. Just for a second. But it was enough to make us both still. I unfolded it carefully, like it might fall apart if I rushed. His handwriting was messy, uneven. The kind of writing that comes from someone who isn't thinking about how it looks, only about getting the thoughts out before they drown him. The first line stopped me cold. I don't know why I'm thinking about the woman next door when my marriage just ended. I didn't read the rest out loud. I didn't need to. The room went quiet again, but this time it wasn't awkward. It was charged. Like both of us were standing on opposite sides of something fragile. I never planned to give that to you, he said. But tonight, I realized I needed to stop pretending this was nothing. I folded the paper back up, carefully, deliberately. And that's when he did the one thing that made my chest tighten. He apologized. Not for writing it, not for knocking, but for waiting this long to be honest. And in that moment, I understood something that scared me more than his confession. This wasn't a mistake unfolding. It was a decision. One that had been forming long before 3:03 a.m. I handed the paper back to him. Not because I didn't care, because I cared enough to know what it meant to keep it. He took it with both hands, slower than necessary, like he was afraid that if he moved too fast, the moment would shatter. I didn't come here expecting an answer, he said. I just couldn't carry it alone anymore. I nodded. That was the truth, at least. The kind of truth that doesn't demand anything, but changes everything anyway. We stood there for a while after that. No more confessions, no more explanations. Just the quiet hum of the refrigerator, the clock ticking toward 4 a.m. Two people aware that something had shifted, even if nothing had happened. Eventually, he stepped back toward the door, paused. I won't knock again, he said. I promise. I believed him, because the knock wasn't the point. It never was. When he left, the apartment felt different. Not heavier, not lighter, just altered. I locked the door, checked the time one last time. 3:41 a.m. And as I lay back down, staring at the ceiling, one thought kept looping in my mind. Steady, impossible to ignore. Some moments don't end when the door closes. They settle in quietly and wait.